Hey, Matt here at CapForge Bookkeeping and Tax, and if you are a franchise owner, which I'm assuming you are, then I can give you a 3-step plan for making your entire franchise system more profitable. And it's pretty easy, and I'm going to give you all 3 steps right now. You don't need to come to me for the secret. You don't need to pay me anything for this advice. I'm going to literally lay it out, all 3 steps right now. So, step 1. Have everybody be on the same chart of accounts. All the franchisees should be using the same chart of accounts. And you're going, whoa, Matt, we already do that. This is not new information. This is not anything that is a shocking revelation or a secret. Okay, I know it's not a secret, and I'm glad to hear that you think you're already doing it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I can virtually guarantee that you're not actually doing it right, and you're not using the right chart of accounts. How do I know that? Because all the franchisors I've ever talked to, and I've looked at the chart of accounts that they set up and they've issued to their franchisees, was designed by somebody who comes from big company accounting. What does that mean? It means they set up a chart of accounts that would be great if you're IBM or Microsoft or some giant company, but it doesn't make any sense for a small business. They came from big accounting, they work in big accounting, they think like big accountants, and they did not set up a chart of accounts that helps your franchisees, who are, guess what? Small business owners. They need a chart of accounts that works for a small business owner. Is this critical? Does it really matter? It does. It really does, because if the franchisee who's not really used to running a business, who's new to being a business owner, who's new to looking at a P&L and having P&L responsibility and trying to grow their business profits, isn't getting good data, doesn't understand their numbers, isn't looking at the P&L to begin with, they're not going to use it. It's not going to be an effective tool. It's not going to help them run their business better. So they need a chart of accounts that doesn't have a bunch of account numbers, doesn't have a bunch of extraneous accounts that they never use, isn't too granular to be of any help. And everybody actually has to be using the same one the same way in order for you to get any useful data out of it and share that data amongst your franchisees so that each of them can get to where they should be as far as best practices and emulating the success of the top performing units. So, step 1 is not just having everybody using the same chart of accounts, but having everybody using the same chart of accounts that's set up for small business success. And it does make a difference. And I can tell you from years and years of experience working with small business owners that just something as simple as having the right chart of accounts makes a huge difference between, can I run my business effectively, or do I even bother looking at this report that doesn't help me at all? So step 1, have everybody using the right chart of accounts for your franchise system. Step 2 is having everybody doing their bookkeeping correctly, on time, the same way, early in the month, every month. Now, great, you've given everybody the same chart of accounts, probably not the right chart of accounts, but are they using it? Are they getting it done? Is it getting done consistently? Is it getting done every month? Is it getting done accurately? Some franchisees are probably trying to do it themselves. They may be behind. They may be making mistakes because they're not accountants. They haven't been trained on that. Even though bookkeeping can seem simple, there are subtle differences, subtle things you can get wrong that make the numbers substantially wrong. And then not only are the numbers not the same as everyone else's, but they're not even right for your business, and they're no help. Other franchisees may be paying somebody to do it, but again, they may be months behind. They may be doing it from an accounting kind of tax perspective rather than a bookkeeping perspective. And even something as simple as one set of bookkeepers may be coding something to job supplies, and somebody else or some other group of the franchisees' bookkeepers are coding the same thing to cost of goods sold. And now when you look at it, some people look like their cost of goods sold is low and some people look like it's high, but really it's more about an inconsistency in how it's even being recorded than the fact that some franchisees need to work on getting their cost of goods sold down and other people have it dialed in. Simple stuff like that. If every single franchisee is doing their bookkeeping exactly the same way, using somebody who knows the system and knows how to do the coding and is consistent, using the right chart of accounts every month on time, that data becomes much more effective. And that's where we get to step 3, the most important part of this process, where we can now take every single franchisee's results every month, line them up side by side by side, and now consistently be able to see who's doing what. As a percent of sales, who's paying too much, too little for insurance, for labor, for marketing, who's paying themselves and how much. And is that broken out and separated so that you can see the people who are paying themselves versus the people who aren't paying themselves isn't affecting their net profit. In other words, it's broken down to a separate section so we can see an operating net profit. And this goes back to having a chart of accounts set up to do this so that you can really see apples to apples who's doing what and give individual coaching to the units who are underperforming in very specific areas. Joe may be high on his office supplies, Jane may be high on her cost of goods sold, and Mary is overdoing it on payroll. That kind of coaching to say, look, a seller of your size, a franchisee of your size with your similar kind of revenue, the best performers, the most profitable ones are spending 25% of their revenue on payroll. You're spending 35% on your payroll. You have room to come down. And if you come down, that's going to increase your overall profitability. Meanwhile, the person with the good payroll may have a problem in a different area. What we can do with this data is anonymize it overall, so we're not sharing individual franchisees' information with each other, right? But we can use that anonymized data to set up goals and metrics and best practices and KPIs that each franchisee can use to see where they stand in relation to their peers and what they can specifically improve on to bring their overall profit up. We lift all of the unit owners' profitability up. So there's the top performer even has room to improve in some areas. The mid-tier and the lowest, worst performers have lots of room to improve their results. And some things they may not have control over, right? They may have a more expensive lease, or they may be in a more expensive labor market, and we can even adjust for those things. So they don't feel bad that they're not doing as well as their peers if they have some things just naturally working against them, but at least they know these are the things I can fix, these are the things I'm stuck with. So individual coaching of each franchisee owner, each unit owner, based on shared data that's all the same, apples to apples, using the same and correct chart of accounts, done consistently each month, and then turned into useful, coachable, actionable data for everybody to be able to increase the profitability of their individual units, making the franchise system overall more attractive, more profitable, more royalties to be shared, and everybody becomes happier, wants to buy more units, wants to continue to expand the brand, and more unit owners or potential unit owners want to get involved in a very successful system. So it's not a secret, it's not rocket science, it's not something that anybody can't do with or without our help. But if you'd like our help, this is something we've got experience with, something we've continued to work with emerging brands on. We can help you set up the right chart of accounts. We can help all of your franchisees get on board with doing consistent, accurate bookkeeping every month. And we can get that anonymized data out to each one and to the home office so everyone can see where they're at and everyone can work on immediate, effective, actionable, measurable improvement for their franchise units. There's no cost to the franchisor for this. And most of the time, our bookkeeping rates are lower than what the franchisees are individually paying to some local person who has no insight into the system, no insight into the bigger picture, no necessarily incentive to get things done in a timely manner, and certainly no sharing of knowledge or reporting data. So if you're interested, I'd love to have the conversation. Let me know. Capforge.com is the website. You can check out the franchise section, get in touch, have a conversation, a no obligation discussion, and see if this is something that would make sense for your franchise system. I look forward to connecting.